Welcome back to part 3 of the history of Terra. We now reach the conclusion of our mini-series. If you haven't already, please like, comment, or subscribe. By the final stages of the Siege of Terra, the throne world was dying. The Imperial Palace had been designed to endure almost anything. Its walls were almost the greatest works of human defense ever created. Its shield generators, gun emplacements, bastions, and kill zones had been prepared by Rogal Dorn himself. But no fortress can hold forever when the galaxy's nightmares are thrown against it. The traitor armies pushed deeper into the palace. The outer defenses had already been shattered. The inner palace became a battlefield. The War Master's hordes advanced through fire, ash, and ruin. Every victory brought them closer to the Sanctum Imperialis and the Golden Throne. The defenders were exhausted. The Imperial fists had bled for every wall. The Blood Angels had fought beneath visions of doom. The White Scars had launched impossible strikes against the enemy's momentum. The Custodes had been reduced by years of hidden war in the webway. The Sisters of Silence stood against demonic horror with silent defiance. Human soldiers held positions that no one expected them to survive. And yet they held. Again and again, Terra came within a breath of falling. At the Eternity Gate, one of the most legendary moments of the siege unfolded. Sanguinius, Primarch of the Blood Angels, stood against the tide. He was already wounded. He was already carrying the weight of terrible visions. He knew, perhaps better than any of his brothers, that death was waiting for him. But he did not retreat. In the shadow of the Eternity Gate, Sanguinius faced Angron, the demon Primarch of the World Eaters. It was angel against monster, nobility against rage. A son who had inspired love against a son who had been shaped by pain and hatred until nothing human remained. Sanguinius defeated Angron, but the cost was immense. The angel brought Terra more time. Time was all the Loyalists had left. Far away, Loyalist reinforcements were coming. Guilliman's forces were approaching. Other Loyalist elements were closing in. Horus knew that if he waited too long, he could still win the battle and lose the war. He needed to force the final confrontation before the trap closed around him. So Horus lowered the shields of his flagship, the Vengeful Spirit. It was a challenge and an invitation. The Emperor understood what it meant. If he remained on Terra, the palace would eventually fall. If he went to Horus and failed, mankind was doomed. But if he could destroy the War Master, the rebellion might collapse before Terra was lost. There was one terrible problem. Someone had to sit upon the Golden Throne while the Emperor left it. The breach in the webway still had to be held shut. Without a psychic will powerful enough to maintain the throne, demonic forces could flood into Terra from below and devour the heart of the Imperium. Magnus, who had once been meant for such a fate, was now a traitor. So Malcador the Sigillite took the Emperor's place. Malcador was not a warrior like a Primarch. He was not a general in the ordinary sense. He was the Emperor's closest advisor, the master of secrets, the hand behind the machinery of the Imperium. But he was also one of the most powerful human psykers ever to live. He sat upon the Golden Throne, knowing it would destroy him. And while Malcador burned, the Emperor went to face his son. The boarding of the Vengeful Spirit became the final myth of the Horus heresy. The Emperor teleported aboard with warriors who would become legends, but the ship was a realm of madness. Reality itself had twisted around Horus. Time, space, memory, and nightmare no longer behaved as they should. Sanguinius reached Horus before the Emperor. The angel had already endured more than almost any being could survive. He had held the Eternity Gate. He had faced Angron. He had carried the hopes of Terra on broken wings. But Horus was no longer merely Horus. He was the chosen vessel of the dark gods, swollen with the power of chaos. Against that power, even Sanguinius could not prevail. Horus killed him. The death of Sanguinius became one of the deepest wounds in Imperial history. For the Blood Angels, it would echo forever as the Black Rage, a psychic scar passed through their gene seed. For the Imperium, it became a symbol of perfect sacrifice, the angelic son dying before the father's final battle. Then, the Emperor faced Horus. The duel between them is the very heart of Warhammer 40,000's mythology. It is father against son, creator against creation, empire against rebellion, and humanity against the gods of the warp. The Emperor hesitated. Some versions of the legend say he still loved Horus. Others suggest he needed proof that his son was truly lost. Whatever the truth, Horus had become the doorway through which chaos hoped to claim mankind forever. In the end, the Emperor struck. Horus was destroyed utterly, not merely killed, but erased so completely that the Chaos Gods could never reclaim him. The heresy was broken, but the Emperor was ruined. His body was shattered. His spirit had endured a wound almost beyond understanding. Rogel Dawn found him and brought him back to the palace, but there was no true healing left. Malcador, who had held the throne in his absence, was consumed by the effort. Before he died, he gave the last of his strength so the Emperor could be installed upon the Golden Throne. And there, the Emperor has remained ever since. Neither alive nor dead. A god to his people, a corpse to his enemies, a prisoner of his own throne. After the heresy, Terra was a ruin. The imperial palace had been torn open. Its towers had fallen, its walls were broken, its streets were choked with rubble and bodies. The dream of the Great Crusade lay dead beside the corpse of Horus and the broken body of the Emperor. But the Imperium survived. That survival changed everything. The Emperor's dream of a rational, secular humanity could not survive his silence. In the absence of his voice, worship grew. The Lectitio Divinitatis, once a forbidden religious text, spreading the idea that the Emperor was divine, became the seed of imperial faith. Over the centuries, that faith hardened into the imperial cult. The Emperor had tried to destroy religion. In deathly silence, he became a god. Terra became the holiest world in the galaxy. Pilgrims came from every corner of the Imperium. Some traveled for generations. Some died in transit. Some spent their entire lives crossing only a fraction of the bureaucratic and physical distance required to approach the Imperial Palace. To set foot on Terra was the dream of billions. To glimpse even the outer reaches of the palace was a miracle. But holy does not mean kind. Modern Terra is one of the most oppressive places in the Imperium. Its surface is almost entirely covered by urban sprawl, fortress structures, cathedrals, manufactoria, barracks, archives, shrines, and administrative districts. It is a world without wilderness, a planet buried beneath its own history. The oceans are gone. The air is foul. Entire generations live and die inside bureaucratic systems so vast that a single mistake can bury a request for centuries. At the center of it all sits the Imperial Palace, rebuilt and expanded over 10,000 years until it is less a palace and more a continent-sized fortress city. It contains the Sanctum Imperialis, the Eternity Gate, the halls of the Adeptus Terra, the chambers of the High Lords, and the hidden approaches to the Golden Throne. Terra is the brain of the Imperium. The Adeptus Administratum drowns the Empire in records, tithes, permissions, reports, and decrees. The High Lords of Terra govern in the Emperor's name. The Adeptus Custodes guard the palace and the master of mankind. The Inquisition moves through its shadows. The Officio Assassinorum traces its authority back to the deepest powers of the throne world. The Ecclesiarchy turns worship into law, ritual, and fire. And above all else, burns the Astronomicon. The Astronomicum is the psychic beacon that allows Imperial ships to navigate the warp. It is projected from Terra and sustained through unimaginable psychic sacrifice. Without it, the Imperium would fracture, fleets would be lost, worlds would be isolated. Humanity's empire would begin to die in the dark. This is why Terra matters. It is not just symbolic. It is not just functional. If Terra falls, the Imperium collapses. And Terra has nearly fallen more than once. In the millennia after the heresy, the throne world remained the center of Imperial politics, corruption, and crisis. During the War of the Beast in the 32nd millennium, the Imperium was shaken by an Orc empire powerful enough to threaten even Terra itself. An Orc attack moon appeared in terrifying proximity to the throne world, proving that even the heart of mankind was not beyond danger. After that war came another trauma, the beheading. Drakan Vangarich, Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum, orchestrated the slaughter of the High Lords of Terra after becoming convinced that their failures endangered the Imperium. For a time, the Imperium was effectively ruled by the Assassinorum, until Vangarich himself was eventually overthrown. Centuries later, during the Age of Apostasy, Terra again became the center of tyranny and bloodshed. Goge Vandir, both High Lord and Ecclesiarch, twisted the Imperium through paranoia, religion, and violence. His reign ended only after rebellion, civil war, and the intervention of the Adeptus Autoritas's earliest predecessors. These events matter because they show the truth of Terra. The throne world is not safe from corruption. It is where corruption learns to wear a crown. By the 41st millennium, Terra is ancient beyond imagination. It is layered with lies, bones, and forgotten machinery. Beneath its splendor are vaults no one understands. Beneath its shrines are prisons. Beneath its palaces are older palaces. And beneath those are ruins from before the Emperor ever rose to power. Then came the Great Rift, when the galaxy was torn open and the Psychotrix Maledictum split the Imperium in two. Even Terra was not spared. Demonic forces manifested on the throne world itself in a nightmare remembered as the Battle of Lionsgate. The Adeptus Custodes, newly unleashed from their long isolation, fought alongside other Imperial defenders to drive back the demons of Khorne. For the first time in thousands of years, the defenders of Terra were reminded of a terrible truth. The siege had never really ended. The enemy had only been waiting. Today, Terra stands at the center of the Imperium Sanctus. While half the galaxy struggles in darkness beyond the Great Rift, Rabute Guilliman has returned. The Indomitus Crusade has been launched. The Custodes walk the stars again. The Imperium is more active, more desperate, and more divided than it has been in centuries. But the Emperor remains on the throne. Every day, psykers are sacrificed to sustain him and the systems connected to his will. Every day, the Astronomicon burns. Every day, Terra survives. And that survival is the greatest horror of all. Because Terra is not a symbol of victory. It is a symbol of endurance. It is the birthplace of humanity, transformed into a fortress shrine for a dying empire. It is the world where mankind first dreamed of the stars, and the world where those dreams were chained to a golden machine. From Earth to Terra, from cradle to throne, from hope to horror. Its history is the history of mankind itself. A rise into impossible greatness, a fall into darkness, a conquest born from necessity, a betrayal that broke the species, a corpse god holding back the night for 10,000 years. In Warhammer 40,000, Terra is the holiest world in existence, but it is also the most tragic. Because beneath the gold, beneath the prayers, beneath the endless armies and the eternal walls, Terra is still Earth, our home. And in the grim darkness of the far future, our home has become a tomb. I hope you enjoyed my 3-part series to the history of Terra. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, and like, comment, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.